Hi, I'm Marc, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on American politics. And today I seriously need to talk about Donald Trump because a lot that is going on there. A day after his conviction for sexual abuse, Trump gave a rare interview on CNN. The role of the United States and Europe in the Ukraine war was also discussed. But it was his first live appearance on CNN for several years. The former US President Donald Trump answered questions from citizens on Wednesday. It was about the Ukraine war, his conviction for sexual abuse, and the storming of the US Capitol 2 years ago. It is unusual for Trump to appear on CNN, though, and the broadcaster is considered liberal and is repeatedly attacked by Trump. At the beginning of his appearance, Trump repeated his lie that his 2020 election victory had been stolen from him. I think if you look at the result and if you look at what happened in this election, if you're not a very stupid person, you see what happened, he said. According to the Republican, the presidential election that brought the Democrat Joe Biden into office was manipulated. CNN anchor Caitlin Collins contradicted Trump. It wasn't a rigged election, it wasn't a stolen election, that's what she said. And Trump in turn accused Collins of pursuing a political agenda. Trump was evasive on the show about the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine. When asked whether he would continue to provide money and arms to Ukraine if he won the 2024 presidential election, the Republican said, among other things, "I want Europe to provide more money because they are laughing at us. They think we are a bunch of idiots." Trump claimed that the US government is giving away so much equipment that there is no ammunition left for its own troops. During his time in the White House, he had already accused Germany and other NATO countries of spending too little money on their own armed forces and hiding behind the protective shield of the well-armed US military. Trump reiterated his claim that he could end the war between Russia and Ukraine, which has been going on now for more than 14 months, but he could do it in 24 hours. Both parties to the conflict have strengths and weaknesses, he said. Asked by moderator Caitlin Collins whether Russia's President Vladimir Putin is a war criminal, Trump said, "If you say he's a war criminal, it's going to be a lot harder to get a deal." Trump has again denied allegations of sexual abuse as well against him after his conviction. "This is a made-up story," Trump said. The Republican continued to rail against the US judiciary. He did not testify personally during the trial because it was a setup. The judge was terrible, and he scoffed at the US author E. Jean Carroll, who had won the lawsuit against him. "I don't know this woman. I've never met her. I have no idea who she is." Well, on Tuesday, Trump was sentenced to millions of dollars in compensation for sexual abuse and defamation in a civil lawsuit. A New York jury found it proven that Trump sexually assaulted writer Carroll in a New York department store in 1996. Former US President Donald Trump has promised to pardon rioters convicted of storming the US Capitol more than 2 years ago if he returns to the White House as well. "I am inclined to pardon many of them," he told CNN. When asked if he would also pardon members of the far-right group Proud Boys, he replied evasively, "I would have a look at their case." But he could say that you don't get a fair trial in Washington. Well, Trump is applying for the Republican presidential candidacy in the US elections in 2024. For this, he must pass his party's primaries. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is considered the most promising internal party challenger. Former US President Donald Trump has left open whether he would accept the official results of the 2024 presidential election, though. "If I think it's an honest election, I would definitely do it." That's how he replied on Wednesday evening in the CNN program when asked whether he was committed to accepting the election result. Moderator Caitlin Collins asked again, "Will you commit yourself to accepting the result of the election regardless of the outcome?" And Trump was evasive again, saying, "If I think it's an honest election, I would be honored." Well, yeah. The Republican still does not want to admit his defeat in the 2020 presidential election against Democrat Joe Biden. Instead, he is sticking to his often refuted claim that he was deprived of victory through electoral fraud. But as we know, Trump is now applying again for the Republican presidential candidacy in the 2024 elections. And I'm really curious about the upcoming primaries, I must say. But he also repeated the lie about the stolen election several times during his appearance on the CNN program. The election wasn't fake. You can't keep saying that all evening. That Collins was forced to say this at one point. It's unusual for Trump to appear on CNN, as I said, because he considers the broadcaster to be rather liberal and attacks them all the time. So I really wonder why he went there. Probably because they get a lot of viewers. And he doesn't have, nevertheless, I honestly don't know how so many people can still stand behind this man after all he's done. I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.